Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Drop, and this is my performance review of Zion Williamson's brand new signature shoe with Jordan Brand, the Zion 4. So this shoe retails for 140 bucks, so they kept it the same exact price as the Zion 3, which is much appreciated. And if you guys do want to cop, I'll try to leave in the affiliate link in the description box. If you do choose to get the shoe, it does help me out if you buy it through the affiliate link in the description box. And also some other colorways are available now. But anyways, let's get it started off with the Traction. So in this colorway, we have a fully translucent rubber, and we have a very interesting traction pattern as well, like a lot of very thin, and also like we have this very interesting circular, like oval shaped design for the entire outsole. On the left pair we have Zion's logo, and on the right we have the Jumpman logo, right? So how is the traction? The traction is pretty nice. You do need to break it in, and when I first got it, the bite just wasn't amazing, you know what I mean? Like it was biting, but like not that well, you know? And it wasn't terrible though, but it wasn't great, right? It wasn't even that good. So it was a little bit disappointing, but I kept playing in it, and once I broke it in, got a little bit better, but definitely still isn't top tier, right? So yeah, I mean, if you don't need crazy good traction, but you want something a little bit more consistent, then this is a great option, right? So on a clean court, pretty okay bite, but not the hardest bite they can get right now, which I feel like, you know, some people might like, you know what I mean? But also, it doesn't really squeak at all. Once you break it in, it starts to squeak a little bit more, but still a very silent tracking pattern, which of course has nothing to do with performance. But if you like to have squeak, this shoe is very, very silent, which kind of sucks because the Zion 3 was extremely squeaky, right? Also, if you're playing on a dusty court, it's pretty consistent, you know what I mean? Like, from a clean court to a dusty court is pretty consistent, as in like, it still has like a okay bite, you know what I mean? Like, I wasn't sliding out like crazy, it wasn't dangerous, it just slid out a little bit more than when I was playing on a clean court. So yeah, it still has, I guess, like good dust performance, you know what I mean, but still like not the best bite, you know? So yeah, the dust performance is okay. And as far as the durability goes, durability probably not the best because of the thinner grooves, you know what I mean? So like when I first saw this, I was like, yo, the grooves are really thin. I don't think it'll be great for durability. And then when I first got it in, I was like, oh, the rubber is actually a lot harder than I thought, which is good. So I feel like it'll be okay for outdoor use because of that, but it's still a really thin groove, and you'll probably tear through this really easily on outdoor court, so probably not recommended on the outdoor court. So overall traction, you do need to break it in. Once you break it in, it does get pretty dang good. Like it's solid, you know what I mean, but nothing amazing, like comparing it to other shoes that I've been testing out. So there is a traction there. Moving on to the heel to toe transition, it is pretty smooth, just a little bit clunky here in the heel because of all this rubber, right? There's no exposed midsole on the outside of the shoe, so look, does feel a little clunky, however, not that bad. Most drop-in midsole setups do that, you know, like the Kobe 9s, the Kobe 11s, you know, the Player 1 Plus, the 808 4s, you know, they all do that. And also you have a lot of compression from the actual kind of like foam underneath your heel. So your heel is also digging into the actual zoom unit and the Cushionlon 3.0 drop-in midsole. So not super clunky, but on the outside it's a little clunky, right? And then here in the forefoot, we have a nice curved shape, which does feel nice. But also we do have a good amount of forefoot flex, you know what I mean? It's not super snappy though, you know what I mean? Look, not super snappy. It's not super easily flexed either. Like, I definitely need to put in some force there, which I do like, you know what I mean? So overall torsional support seems really good, and overall heel to toe transition, once you get over like that clunkier heel, is pretty smooth as well. So there's that. Moving on to the cushioning setup, which is one of my favorite parts about the shoe, and I feel like that's the only redeeming feature about this shoe, right? So as far as the drop-in midsole goes, we have a Cushionlon 3.0 drop-in midsole, and I like what they did here comparing it to other just like regular insoles, because with the regular insole you have a kind of like that felt material, you know what I mean, which it's not super slippery or anything, it's just normal, you know what I mean? So that's fine. But with the top of this drop-in, you have this really nice texture, and it's sticky like all kind of like foam drop-ins are, and that really improves the lockdown. It just grabs your sock and really locks down your foot onto the top of this drop-in, which feels great. which I like. You know what I mean? That's a plus, I think, in my personal opinion. And also, like I said, it is Cushion 3.0, but it's extremely freaking thin. It literally feels like it's like 5 millimeters thick, you know, not that thick at all, which kind of sucks, you know? But it makes sense because this shoe is using a full-length Zoom Strobel unit. And if you added like a thicker drop-in midsole, first of all, the court feel would be terrible. And second, you wouldn't be able to feel the Zoom unit as much. So it makes sense that they did that. But you don't really get too much from the actual kind of like drop-in midsole. Maybe just a tiny bit. I do like it because it mutes the zoom unit a little bit, you know what I mean? Like for example, in like the KD15s, the KD14s, if I play in that setup a little bit too much, it hurts my foot a little bit because the zoom unit is very bouncy. There's a lot of compression, a lot of that pressure right underneath my entire foot, right? But with this, it mutes that a little bit, you know, it mutes the zoom unit a little bit, which I do like. It's still really bouncy. There's still a lot of compression, but it makes it feel a little bit more, or a little bit less kind of like that pressure right underneath my foot, which I do like, right? So I actually really enjoyed this setup, you know what I mean? I feel like if you want to feel that zoom unit a lot, then this probably isn't the best option, but still like you get a good amount of compression, a lot of bounce, with still like a muted feel, you know what I mean? Overall court feel, I would say, is pretty good, like slightly better than average. Impact protection is amazing. There's a lot of balance and all that. So yeah, great cushioning setup overall, and I did really like this shoe because of that. But that's pretty much it. You know what I mean? And now moving on to the material. So we do have this kind of like a textile material, but it's extremely freaking stiff, right? When I first got it, it was super stiff. Now that it's broken in, it's actually got a little bit softer, but still like really freaking stiff. You know what I mean? So I mean, for Zion, obviously that makes sense. And if you're a bigger dude that wants a crazy amount of support, this is awesome. You know what I mean? So that's good for you guys, but for us people that like to have a softer, thinner type of material, this is definitely not the best option, right? So first of all, I mean, once you first get it, there is a lot of pinching. Now that it's broken in, not as much, which is a good thing, of course. It, like I said, also it did get softer, but just not as soft as I would like. For me personally. So yeah, that kind of sucks, you know what I mean? But also another good thing about this upper is it's super freaking supportive if you like that, right? Also, this upper feels like it'll be extremely durable too. You know, there's some, you know, synthetic overlays. It's a thick, sturdy, robust material. So yeah, you're not gonna develop a hole in this material at all, right? And also here in the midfoot stays extremely sturdy, right? For the tongue, we do have like an average amount of padding, right? It does look kind of thick, but the actual foam that they're using is really airy, so it's not like really plush, but kind of plush on top of your foot. It's also an independent tongue, which is kind of annoying. Not a huge fan of that. And here in the back of the shoe, we do have like an average amount of padding, so not super well padded, which kind of sucks. So yeah, not a huge fan of the material choice for me personally. Again, like if you want a thicker, like more supportive, very sturdy and super like your tanky type of material, then this is a great option, right? And obviously for Zion Williamson, it makes sense. It's just kind of weird because, you know, if you look at the Zion 2, the Zion 1, the Zion 3, they were like really thin and soft. Besides the S3 SE, right? But then they switched it up a lot here in the Zion 4, which I guess makes more sense for Zion's type of play and also for his type of build. But yeah, for me, or I guess for guards, it's probably not the best, you know what I mean? So there's the upper there. Moving on to the fit. So I went up half a size, and this shoe fits me pretty dang well because this shoe fits really freaking narrow, right? So I went up half a size. There's a little bit of length, which kind of sucks, but I don't really notice it as much. First of all, because like I said, I have really good lockdown from the actual drop-in, right? You know, when you put the shoe on, it's a little annoying sometimes because it scrunches, you know, your sock scrunches up underneath your foot. But once you fix that, the lockdown's extremely good, and I don't really notice, or like I don't really care about the extra kind of little length. That doesn't bother me as much, right? Also, here in the toe box, it's still freaking snug. So yeah, because of that, I don't really mind the length either. And also, like I said, it's a really freaking narrow fit. You know what I mean? Like, it's squeezing the side of my pinky like crazy. It's not painful. It's just a little uncomfortable for me because I did go up half a size. So just be careful if you do go true to size. Like if you have a really skinny foot, then maybe go true to size. But for most people, I would say go up half a size because it is a really snug and narrow fit. But again, like I said, because I did go up half a size, it's a really nice snug fit for me. and I didn't really mind the fit as much, especially once I kind of started playing, right? So there is a fit there. Moving on to the support and lockdown. Yeah, I mean, so for lateral containment, first of all, like I keep saying, that texture on the drop-in really helps, you know, keep my foot in place, but also there is kind of like a raised sidewall from the actual drop-in as well. Not in the forefoot as much, but it's still there a little bit in the midfoot and heel. But also on the outside of the shoe, you can see all this, right? We have foam here in the forefoot, and then we have this plastic piece here in the midfoot with this window where you can see the actual drop-in, and here in the heel. Look at this. Look at how freaking stiff this material is, you know what I mean? So yeah, lateral containment, you're gonna be good to go. Even if you're like the biggest dude ever and you're doing crazy lateral movements, you're gonna be good to go. Your foot is not coming out of the foot at all, right? And also, even though there is no outrigger, this is actually pretty wide base, and you are kind of lower to the ground here in the forefoot. So overall, lateral stability was good. The only thing that kind of sucked was there is heel slippage, you know what I mean? Like, no matter how tight the lace is, I just felt like my heel wasn't completely locked down. Like, my heel wasn't flying out of the shoe, but it was just going up and down a little bit, you know what I mean? Which kind of sucks. I want better heel lockdown than that. So yeah, overall support and lockdown, like the support's really good, but the heels lockdown wasn't the best. So there's that. Moving on to the weight of the shoe. This shoe isn't super lightweight. It comes in at 13.1 ounces. Let's check the other shoe. 13.35 ounces, right? So it's a little bit heavier than average. And yeah, I don't know, like it doesn't feel a little bit lighter than average. It feels a little bit heavier than average. Maybe it's because this overall shoe is a little bit stiffer. Like the upper is on the stiffer side of things. So maybe because of that, the shoe felt a little bit more kind of like not as fluid to me, you know what I mean? So a little clunky here in the heel, the upper stiff and stuff like that. Also, the traction isn't the best. Again, it's not terrible, but it has a pretty okay, like solid bite once you break it in, but not top tier as well. So I didn't feel extremely quick and extremely responsive playing in the shoe. So there is the weight there. Moving on to the ventilation. Nope, there is literally no airflow through this entire upper. And also, like I said, it is a little bit on the thicker side of things. So yeah, it is pretty hot in this shoe. And moving on to the aesthetics, I like it. It's a very simple design. There are some new colorways available, like I said, and those look pretty good to me. So yeah, it's a overall pretty good design, and I feel like it's one of my favorites in Zion Williamson's entire shoe line. And now moving on to the durability of the shoe, like how long do I think this shoe will last? I feel like it'll last a pretty long time. Like if you're playing on indoor court, you're gonna be good to go, you know what I mean? Like the upper seems really good. You're not going to develop any holes. It feels really durable. The cushion also is extremely bouncy, and it's going to stay bouncy because it is a Zoom unit, and the traction are going to be good to go, right? But the only thing is, if you're playing on outdoor court, I still feel like this shoe will be a tank. It's just the outsole, it'll probably wear out a little bit quicker than normal. So yeah, the shoe feels like it'll be pretty dang durable. And now wrapping things up, yeah, I like playing this shoe, but it definitely isn't my favorite. You know what I mean? It's just not my type of shoe. I'm not saying it's bad or anything. It's just not my type of shoe. You know what I mean? Like I want something more minimal. I want something more fluid. I want something a little bit more, I guess, like less stiff, you know, and also a little bit more lightweight. I don't really mind the weight as much. It's just how the shoe overall feels, right? I really like the cushioning setup, but how they did the upper, just not my personal favorite, you know what I mean? I could definitely see guards enjoying this shoe. Like if you want a lot of support and you want a crazy bouncy cushioning setup, then I definitely feel like you wouldn't mind playing in the shoe. Again, I'm not saying it's terrible or anything, it's just not my favorite, you know? Also, if you're a bigger dude though, this shoe's gonna be awesome, right? If you don't need crazy good traction, you know, I feel like most bigs, you know, you're just kind of like in the pose, you don't really need amazing traction, then you should be fine in this shoe for the traction performance. Cushion's amazing, you get crazy bounce, crazy impact protection, and a lot of support from the overall upper. So yeah, I feel like it's more suited for bigger dudes, which makes sense, obviously. And for guards, I feel like you can make it work, but I definitely feel like, in my personal opinion, there are better options out there, right? So anyways, that about concludes my performance review of the Zion 4. Again, if you guys do want to cop, I'll try to leave in the link in the description box. But that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.